Nakia, okay, Nakia now, boom, there it goes. Okay, there it goes. All right.
We got
What's going on, Miss
Hey girl,
Jack?
hey.
Oh
Mom,
my,
this is so good.
right? Don't
This is
you love
good.
it?
I do love it. I do
Oh
love
my,
it. Let me get my technology together. Hold on.
okay.
I want to make sure make sure I can hear you and that you
Okay,
can hear me. Okay.
I can hear you. Now, are you working from home or are you?
Yes.
Okay, is DC still? What is DC like right now? You know, that's my second home.
So it's crazy because it's very quiet,
Okay,
right? You know, there's always people out all the time. You
right.
go out during rush hour, you can get to wherever you need to get to in half the time.
Mm.
Um, but you still have a couple of pockets of us, you know, us and our cousins, who just don't believe that they should be staying at home. Like they don't get it. And
Wow.
so I think that might just be our communal nature
Okay.
because across the country, it seems to be our pockets of people that are having the spikes and the
Girl.
highest occurrences of the virus. Because again, we don't believe fat, me, greasy. Like, we don't believe we need to be
Girl.
staying at home. So,
We didn't talk
anyway,
about that because you actually shifted your lifestyle too, and in the fitness arena, and that is actually one of the reasons that like the health disparities are showing up for the African Americans of things
mm-hmm.
that you know health advocates has been speaking about for a long time,
Yep,
and these pre-existing conditions that are being linked to the COVID. And
yep,
of course, I'm not in the medical profession, but I actually worked in executive office for 7 years.
mm-hmm.
So working with physicians and researchers is a whole nother ball game.
Right.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I see. Hey, Maya. Maya's on the other. Is on Facebook.
Hey Maya, is she? Oh, I
Girl,
didn't.
you
Girl,
don't know
having
about
Facebook and Instagram going at the same time was too much for me. So I'm gonna just,
Well,
I'll
I'm
have
gonna
to,
save
I'll
this
record
format.
it, yeah, and then I'll just post it somewhere so folks can see it.
Right, right, girl. So
Actually, am I talking? Let me sit on a pillow. Hold on a second. Hold on.
okay. So Nikia is adjusting herself so she can. Facebook can hear you, but they see me, and then Facebook will upload our
Okay.
video to Instagram.
Okay.
So we're live on Instagram right now, and you see
Hmm.
me live on Facebook. And we got Miss Nakia Jackson.
Hey.
Say it correctly, Miss Nakia L. Jackson
L. Right.
in the building. And
Right.
tell the people about yourself. Just give them a little bit
Whew.
background of. Whew,
Let's
I mean,
see. Where can I start? So, okay, I am a finance professional.
mm-hmm.
I've been living in DC for, girl, how long?
It's been a minute.
13, maybe 14 years. I moved in
Like five.
'06. It does
Yes.
seem like five. I
Mm-hmm.
moved here. I've been living here for 14 years, originally from Southern California, grew up in Carson, went to Crenshaw High School, went to Cal for undergrad,
Uh-huh.
pledged to Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Spring 2000 Gamma Beta chapter.
You're fine.
Um,
Happy 20th.
Girl, 20 years. We could do a whole nother
We
Instagram
probably
live about being in the game for 20 years. I
we're
don't
gonna have Maya on that one too. We probably need to do
We're
a
gonna have to
Zoom.
have Maya on that one too. Side note, I ain't done nothing for 20 years in a row. So the fact that I'm doing Zeta for 20 years says a lot. And then I moved back to LA, working in finance jobs. Decided I wanted to go to business school, so then I came to DC to go to Howard. I got my MBA from Howard, and just been kind of moving around in corporate finance roles for, I guess, now 14 years.
And you wrote a book.
I did. So I wrote an ebook
Uh,
last spring um, called Your Great Escape. And
mm-hmm.
it's basically like a step by step manual on how to create and plan your sophisticated sabbatical. Shout out
Mm.
to Maya Winston, Be a Possibility. She is the one who gave me that name. Um,
Really?
yes. So
Getting with
if
names too.
anybody, she is just
She
dope with
says she's
all of
done it.
that.
And what is this 20 years we speak of?
Exactly. She is young and vibrant. She is absolutely. But um, I real quick for Be a Possibility Coaching. If anyone is interested in business coaching, accountability partnership, like Maya is great with that. So I took some time off of work and I was sitting at home and she and
Mhm.
I were talking one day and she was like, you actually need to tell the people about what it is that you're doing. Because I was just on my couch or traveling or doing whatever. And so
Mhm.
she helped me come up with the name Sophisticated Sabbaticals. And so anyway, that was what my ebook about was basically how to plan your own adult gap year. Because I
Mhm.
did that. I'm sure at some point we'll talk about that today, but maybe mid 2018
Uh-huh.
to April of 2019, I took a break from my career and just took some time to just do me.
Now,
I,
what inspired that? Because I want let's get into that a
mhm.
little bit before we get
Okay.
because of course
Hmm.
finance plays into all of that.
Right.
But what was that moment that just hit to say, I need some
I
time?
gotta go. Right.
Yeah.
So it really started in like 2016. So I was just kind of like in a really intense finance job. I had moved up really quickly. I was to the point where I was, director of a budget office,
Uh-huh.
and I was just tired, like
Mm-hmm.
period, point blank. There's no other way for me to describe that other than I was just tired. I was exhausted during the week. I was, exhausted on the weekends because I was trying to recover from the week.
Right.
Um, and I just knew like I needed a new job. I knew that working at that level was not sustainable.
Right.
I just wanted to do something different. Now, it didn't originally start off as me taking a break from work, even though that's always kind of like a fantasy I had, but it was just that, like a fantasy. I never thought that it was actually something
Right.
that could happen. It
Uh-huh.
really started off as me planning to leave my job and thinking that I wouldn't be able to find a new job that was going to pay me as much. So let me save up as much money as I can to make sure that I have a cushion in the event I have to take a drastic pay cut. Because I got to the point where I was like, I'm going to just take this pay cut. Like, I can't be here anymore.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and so I just started aggressively saving
Okay.
and slimming down my expenses and putting money away. And I actually pulled back from my 401k contributions because I wanted that cash available. So I was, I was putting a lot in there, like up to the match. I think I did 50% of that instead
Mm-hmm.
during that time.
Okay.
Um, just started putting money away, and before I knew it, like 2 years had passed. Now, it shouldn't have taken me 2 years to find a new job, and it wasn't me just looking for a new job during that period. There was just a lot of like doubt
Okay.
and negative self-talk and all kinds of stuff that was going on during that time that was keeping me at that job, and a lot of it was centered around money. How am I
Mm-hmm.
going to find that I have this lifestyle I've created? Um, I have, bills. I have all these things I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I need, money. I need a paycheck at a certain level and I deserve it, blah, 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 blah. But just and then, I would kind of oscillate between pushing my self care to the back burner and like my mental health to the back burner so I can keep chasing this check.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then going back to actually, no, I don't need this check. Let me, get up out of here. So anyway, I had gotten to like the breaking point probably in the fall of 2017.
Okay.
And then April of 20 and like just bad, crying in the bathroom, like all that kind of stuff. And so I would say April of 2018, I went to a yoga retreat with some girlfriends.
I remember
And
that. I remember.
yeah, and then there's like this big temple in the middle of the retreat where you can go and do your meditations and your sound bath work and all that kind of stuff. And I remember going in there like, Nakia, you got to make a decision. Like, this is it. You're going to make this decision. Either you're going to stay at this job and you're going to give it your best and you're going to, shift your mind state and you're going to turn the corner, or you're going to leave. Like, you got to do something.
Right.
And so I, went in there, I meditated for a while, and the answer that I got was leave your job. Like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave my job. And so I set a date. I said, this is the date I'm gonna leave. I think I set up May 30th was gonna be my last day. And I was going to work towards that date and put everything into looking for another job. And so that's what I did. I put everything into looking for another job. I told my boss, and and she was like, "Oh, just stick around, and I can help you find a new job, and we can work through this, and blah blah blah." And I was just thinking, no, that's her vision for me. That's not my vision for me. So in the
Like I said, that her vision
yeah,
for you. Hmm.
no. And in the meantime, and she had just got there. I'd been there for 4 years. She had only been there for a year. So in the meantime, while I was looking for another job, I looked at my bank account and I was like, wait a minute, where all this money come from? Because I had been in such a habit of saving, like I wasn't even looking at that money because I was
Wow.
just saving. I was saving out of fear and panic. Like, I'm gonna need all this money, so let me put all this money away. But when I woke up, looked at my account, and I was like, oh, I can absolutely leave this job. I don't have to be worried about trying to find a new job. And guess what? I'm not going to worry about finding a new job because I had enough. I had gotten my expenses down to a point where I knew how much I needed.
Right. Right.
And so I put my time in and I put my 2 weeks notice in, and everybody was like, oh, where are you going? What are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to Greece. And then I'm going to go to New Orleans and hang out with the Zetas. And
Mhm.
then I'm going to go somewhere else. And then I'm going to figure it out after that. I had no plans, no intentions
Wow.
of going back to work because I knew I needed a break.
Right.
I just knew I needed a recharge. And I knew that jumping back into a new job was just not going to work for me.
You, the
And
key is huge. Think about how many people that are even are older than us who just feel like they are trapped and
yes,
cannot make the
yes,
moves that they're
yes.
feeling led to make
Right,
because of fear.
right.
But
Exactly.
you started setting up, what do I need? Like it is a
hmm
practical step. There is some cash money that is
It's
required.
all it's all about money, to be honest with you. Like that whole it is all about money. The reality is you need it to, function. Just basic necessity. So yeah, once you start, you're gonna have to start setting it up and believing that it can happen.
That's why I wanted to talk to you today because
hmm
I see like there's movements and we know that there's a global pandemic going on.
hmm
And so the U.S. are making strides to aid, I'm going to say, the people. And
hmm
they've increased cash money that's going to come that at the current moment is not taxable and is a credit
Yeah, which is
at the current.
interesting. hmm
Right, very interesting.
hmm hmm
And then there's benefit programs that people are seeing increases. And for me, I'm like, I remember having this mindset about having extra money.
hmm
And then I remember meeting someone, and his name is Nate, uh, Nate Scott, and he
Okay.
talked about and it just shifted my perspective
hmm
of what money is for as a resource, as a tool.
Yep.
So when you get an allotment,
hmm
it's not about, oh, I got this extra money, go do it, boom, boom, boom. It's
Right.
about what are the purposes that you set up before you. So can you talk a little bit more about that and going into living your best life because that's what you do.
So I think you hit the nail on the head. Money is a tool. So during that 2 year period while I was saving
Mhm.
money, I also became aware of all this fear that I have around money and not having it,
Okay.
and not having enough. And then I had to like really get clear with myself and realize that I've never been in a situation where I didn't have enough. Even if I had a job that appeared to not pay enough,
Mhm. Mhm.
or even if I had a job that appeared that I didn't have enough money, that wasn't paying me what I was worth, I was always able to eat or kick it. I mean,
Mhm.
I may not have, I that's not to say that things were always easy because I've had
Right.
really hard times. But I've never just been without. And I think that's just kind of like you have to understand or know whatever your faith is, that you will always be taken care of. Like money is always accessible to you. Like we all have
Mhm.
a skill where we can like monetize that and put that out in the universe. It really is just about mind state. So Oh, let me say this, child.
Yes, please, please.
Nakia Jackson is not a certified financial advisor. So if I say something and y'all go do it and it don't work for you, that ain't my fault.
Tell
Just
the people.
just FYI.
We are,
Nakia,
these are candid conversations and dialogues giving you
yes,
resources. But I'm glad you
right.
said that because it is a mindset.
It's a mindset
And
for
many people
sure.
are stuck. They're stuck in their door inside. They're stuck in jobs and relationships. They're just stuck
Right.
because they haven't shifted their mind. And one of the things I know you said about sound bath, I went to my first sound bath, I think my first and only, but it was
Hmm.
such a powerful,
It's a very powerful experience. It
you know,
really is. Yeah, it really is.
and I want you to talk about some other things you do to help shift your mind because I think like the
Hmm.
way you think is related to how much money that you have.
I
And
agree. I
what,
agree.
so,
Yes, for sure. So back to these stimulus checks.
yes.
When these stimulus checks are coming in, and the government is, in my opinion, attempting to kind of paint these stimulus checks as like a savior, like Superman is coming in, and here comes your $1,200 or whatever it is that you're going to get.
Right.
And this is what's going to carry you. This is your life raft to carry you through the
Mm,
turbulent waters of a pandemic.
right.
And for some people, it might get them to the next month, right? So if they're in a position where they had a job, they're being furloughed or laid off, they have some unexpected expenses because of it having everybody at home, or there's 1,000 reasons why
Mm-hmm.
you could use an extra $1,200 or whatever. It's a sliding scale, so whatever it is you're going to get, there's 1,000 reasons why you can use that money. I would just say use that money for whatever is going to bring you peace and joy during this period. I think
Mm,
it is so easy to kind of underestimate, especially if you haven't been impacted personally.
yeah.
It's so easy to underestimate just how crazy of a time we are in. It is mentally draining, it is mentally stressful.
Right.
We're all trapped indoors. Our normal operating function and way of behavior was taken from us overnight, literally. Like, literally, some
Mm-hmm.
governors were like, hey, you got until 8 o'clock to do your grocery shopping. And
Right.
then I'm going to shut this all down. And I don't know when I'm going to open it up back up because people are dying. You cannot underestimate the fact that thousands of people are dying a day. That is
Right.
not normal. None of that is normal. So, when your check comes, do with that check whatever it is that brings you peace and joy during this time. If you're a saver, save the money. If you're a spender, buy yourself something nice. If you're an investor, buy some stocks. A lot of your faves are, on sale, like literally on sale.
Right.
Um, and, just whatever's going to give yourself some comfort during this time, just do that, because I know there's a lot of questions around like what should people be doing with this time, and there's no playbook on how to effectively manage a pandemic. We have
Right.
never seen this in our lifetime. This is like 100-year event. Like, this will never probably have, we won't see it again in our lifetime,
Right.
probably.
Right.
And so I just think people really need to just be gentle with themselves
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of be like loving and nurturing with themselves. I mean, and don't let Instagram tell you should be starting a business during this time. Like, it may not be for you. It is absolutely okay to do nothing. And so when I had my sophisticated sabbatical, I know a lot of people try to use that as an opportunity to build the next great thing. I laid on my couch a lot. I
Mm,
walked I walked around a lot. I did nothing a lot because I had been doing
and
essentially since the first grade. Like, I was always
going, going,
doing,
going,
doing,
going.
doing, doing, doing.
The next.
Right, exactly. In
Going,
this student
going.
event, on this panel, doing sorority stuff, doing volunteer stuff, doing neighborhood stuff, just always had something. And then, I mean, you just hit a wall, you burn out. So, and I always say that was the greatest gift I ever gave myself, was just that time to just be and listen and just kind of roam aimlessly without really having an agenda. And when I did go back to work, I was just so refreshed. But anyway, girl,
What did you discover about yourself doing this sophisticated sabbatical?
um,
We know you talked a little bit about fear around money. That's a
yes.
that's
Um,
huge.
so I think the thing that became really clear was kind of all the ways that I sabotaged myself or had been sabotaging myself and just not really being my best advocate. So at the end of the sabbatical, I went to the My Tosh You retreat in Cancun. So my Leak Teal had this retreat. And that was like a huge eye opener because there was, 150 plus Black women who were doing great either in their fields or have side hustles and winning at being mothers and winning at being business owners. And I got there and I was like, I'm not doing any of this. I'm not quite sure why I'm here, but having that like mirrored back to you, like having all that greatness mirrored back to you was
Right.
really kind of like inspirational. Like, wait a minute, I can, because all these girls are just like me. The difference is how they've talked to themselves, the commitments that they've made to themselves that they've
How you
kept.
talk to yourself.
Right, exactly. How they talk to
That's
themselves. And that was
yes.
one of the things that once you don't have the distraction of, a hustle, which was work was for me, then you kind of have to confront and face all that other stuff.
Okay.
And so it was just nice to see, um, to have that experience.
Hmm.
And then that really kind of like accelerated a shift for me in terms of, again, how I think about myself, how I talk to myself. Um, yeah, during that time was really, really eye opening.
Do you do affirmations? I know you meditate,
Hmm.
and you seem
Ah,
like very resourceful in finding out like just opportunities. And we're going to talk about that in a minute because you are one of my inspirations. I want to share with the people and why. But
okay.
can you please?
Um, I'm not that good at affirmations. My favorite and what I always repeat is, the universe is always conspiring in my favor. So anytime with anything, oh, and what's for me is for me, and it will not pass me by. And listen, here's
Oh,
the
that's
thing.
good.
I'm gonna talk about men for
Yes,
two
please go
seconds.
flow, go
two
flow, girl.
seconds. Two
Go
seconds.
flow. This is your time. Go.
So I had to learn that what is for me is for me, and that includes men, because I have had a history. I've have had several situations that were not good for me, but they were the exact same situation, just with different people.
Right.
And so, the last time I ended up in a situation like that, I was like, Nikia, you clearly need to learn a lesson. What is this lesson that you need to learn? And so I did my journaling and all that stuff, and I went through that stuff, and I've gone to therapy, so I went through all that stuff,
Hmm.
learned what I needed to learn. And then I started to just kind of like read a bunch of things about how the universe works and how everyone kind of has like a divine path, and nobody can really knock you off of that divine path. Like every decision that you make
It's
is
not.
and is right. It's You're supposed to make it. Like every mistake, every heartache, every hardship, like everything is that is
Yeah.
meant for you is going to happen for you. And
Yeah.
so I a lot of times I feel like we women get into situations and we hold on to these men out of
Mm.
scarcity
Yeah.
and having a scarcity mindset, because we do not think that there are other men out there, that the man that's for you is out there. So we just hold on to situations that are not meant for us because
Great.
we have this scarcity mind state, right?
Right.
And so once I started telling myself what is for me, then I just didn't have any problems with, the men that I had been meeting or dating, or, not meeting or not dating, because in my head I'm thinking that, man, he ain't for me. The one who is for me is not going to pass me by. I'm not going to have to jump through hoops. I'm not going
Right.
to have to audition. I'm not going to have to change who I change who I
Oh,
am
girl.
to make this happen. It's just going to happen. And I kind of felt that way also just about work and life, right? What's for me is for me. Whatever job I'm in, I went back to work, and the job that I'm in now is almost identical to the job that I left in terms of chaos and mismanagement, and like it's the exact same job. And so when I walked in, just a completely different organization. So when I walked in for the interview and I was leaving, I was like, damn, this feels just like that job that I left a year ago. And I was
Wow.
like, and again, you clearly didn't learn what you were supposed to learn
Okay.
from that last job because you're here again.
Right.
So now you actually need to focus and dial in and figure out what it is that you need to learn. Like, why are you in this exact same situation again? The same situation you left, the same situation that burned you out last time. Like, you have to figure out why you're here again. And so, again, everything happens for a reason. The
Yeah, and
universe
I
is
know
always
that to be
mm-hmm,
cyclical. So you're right.
right.
And we will find ourselves in similar situations
Mm-hmm,
if we don't learn the lesson the first
right.
time.
Right.
And then the
Right.
great thing is that when you do get the lesson, it's still cyclical. So you're just going at
Yep.
a different level
Mm-hmm.
higher with a different like a sound of yourself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, here comes the same drama. I just deal with it differently now.
Exactly. Exactly. Cause right. And that's a great point. The drama's gonna be the same.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna change. It may look a little different, but at its core it's gonna be the exact same drama. But what changes is how you deal with it. And so, same thing with men.
Yeah.
A lot of them run the same game, but what's going to change is how you deal with it. And so that happened to me with money. I would get into these situations where money would come, money would go, money would come, money would go. Like it was just kind of always.
Right.
And then I realized, I
And
mean,
that's the thing,
money.
like money comes and it goes. But
Yep.
if you always like, I do have this mindset that you know what, all I need is supply. Like supply is a part,
Mm-hmm.
is a universal principle.
Right.
And when you realize like, okay, money's coming and it's going, what I could probably do is shorten the time frame that it leaves, or
Right.
shorten the time frame that it comes. Like, but it's gonna come.
Right.
And be open
Right.
to it.
Exactly. And so, oh, you asked me about affirmations. So one of the affirmations I started saying to myself is that money finds me wherever I am and it piles up in my bank account. Like
Ooh,
it
that's
just
good.
right.
That's
And so
good.
it kind of shifts from that feeling of money's going to always leave to money comes and it stays. And that's like what I had to shift that thinking also. Like, because if you're expecting something to leave, then you're not always going to give it the respect that you can while it's in your presence, because you're thinking, well, I mean, it's going to
That's
go anyway, so let me just get what I can get and use what I can use right now, because it's going to leave anyway, and then it'll be back, but it's going to go before it comes back. And so I also recognize that pattern. um
in
you know
that's a key pattern in relationships too. Like,
it
okay, he gonna come
is
a moment, so let's just play. But if we shift,
exactly.
wow,
He's going to get bored with me anyway. He's going to find a new girl anyway. So let me just, enjoy it for a while it is. Like you've already sabotaged the relationship. Like you've already sabotaged the relationship from jump. I'm not his type. I don't even know why he's in my face. Blah, blah,
mm-hmm.
blah.
Wow.
So let me just have as much fun as I can, while he's around. Let me just get take the benefits while he's around.
So
But
when
you've,
you had that conversation, let me just, it's like, wait,
yeah,
pause, stop.
right.
This is not
Exactly.
a conversation to have.
Right. Or
Mm,
when I hear myself like trying to create a story about who this person is and why he's, calling me. Like I don't
mm.
know. And then I also have to realize that, I'll create stories as like a defense mechanism, right? So that's how I like keep myself from getting my feelings hurt or from being disappointed. It's like, well, I mean, he was going to leave anyway. So I was already prepared for that. So now, my feelings aren't as hurt because I was already prepared for that.
This is what's hit me as you say that. It's
Hmm.
like, and I'm taking it back to money, because it's like if your mindset is when you get this stimulus check, oh, they're going to take it anyways, it's going to leave anyways, then it's not going to serve the purpose that it should, or that it's meant to at this time.
Exactly.
So tap into yourself. It's like, what is it that you desire? What
Right.
do you written down your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, even next steps, like what you want to do?
Right.
Because everything that comes is a portion of it.
And everything that comes is meant for you to have for whatever reason it serves, whatever purpose it serves at during that time. And so, you know, if you're getting a stimulus check, you don't have to, I don't even think these checks cannot be meant to like solve world hunger, because they're not like, they're obviously, you know, they're obviously a benefit and they're a blessing for people who get them and who need them. But I think what they are really is, you know, some comfort, some good feelings, some, you know, support during a difficult time.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to like treat it as that. Like, you know, I'm grateful that I got this, you know, direct deposit, and, you know, I'm going to put it towards, you know, whatever you decide to put it towards, you know, thank it and let it go out and do its job.
I think N.D. Scott, she's saying very useful information. She figured it out. And that's what this is about. These times are about just open up, illumination,
right,
and highlighting for yourself what you already know within yourself that you haven't given yourself permission.
Right.
Because it just seems so like, why would I go buy a new TV right now? Like, I
yeah.
And I think going back to the beginning, we talked about the fear behind all of this will keep you out of what is next for you.
Yep.
So often when people ask me what you're doing, I'm like, I'm in my next. I'm moving next. And I don't necessarily...
I know. I have a question about that.
Yes, go ahead, girl.
So what inspired you to do this? Like to do kind of like the talk show format where you're interviewing your friends and...
Okay, well, funny thing is this, Big Jack. If you remember, I've been doing this for years.
I know. Well, I know, but I don't think the people know.
The people don't know. Like, I'm always interested in what someone else is doing. And what I realized, like, so when the pandemic hit, I literally just took time. I shut down. Like, I was like, I moved more spiritually and led by insight, and I didn't feel like I needed to do anything. Like I wasn't worried about anything. I left my corporate assignment at the end of September, and I literally sat still because I needed some healing. I had trauma. Like it was traumatizing, y'all. And I had years of growth and compassion and excellence, and that was not an easy toil. Like when you sign up, the way my life is administered is like when I show up, I'm of service, and I don't know it. You just don't always know who you're serving and how crazy, how and healing that they may be themselves. And so I had some wounds in me, and so I took some time because, you know, my job is, I feel like if I had to put it in a job context, is to connect with people. I'm passionate about youth. I'm passionate about women. And when a situation occurs that is against my norm or against what I've ever experienced before, it tried to create a hook in me so that I could always we go back to that negative experience.
Right.
So I took some time. I continued to heal. And I had some, like you said, I had some great time. I started just doing what do you do today? Well, what we feel like doing today.
Exactly. What we feel like doing today.
Like, I'm a mom. I'm going to be a mom, so we're going to do that. My son, Jeremiah, had graduated, so my whole life, I feel like, has shifted in front of me. And so what do I know? I know how to run an office. I've been groomed in business affairs since I was 5. And then there's this public policy course I wanted to take, Women in Leadership, and I've been putting it off for a couple of years, so I signed up for this course. So I get in the course, I'm like, I kind of know pretty much all of this already, but you know, we are. And then like 2 weeks ago, literally, I felt like we needed to talk to the people. We needed to get the people together. Hey, Tanita, I see you over there because you're on my list too. I'm coming for you. Is to get to people and just talk. I was like, I know some dynamic individuals. Let's get them to talk let's just talk to the people, talk to
Mm-hmm.
your people, my people, and let this thing spread so people can start
Oh, hey,
getting a sense
Denise.
of
I
footing.
see my friends joining in.
Oh, and I see mom.
And you
Hey,
see
mom,
my
not
mama
missing
joining.
the Miss Jackson herself. Okay,
Right.
but I feel like this is a time for people to get footing, and
Mm-hmm.
because if you're going to launch into anything next, you need to have a platform, a solid base that you can leap from. Unless you'll
Mm-hmm.
fall, you're gonna stumble, you're gonna trip. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
this.
And you got to sit still too, which I think people don't recognize that this time is really a time for
Yeah,
everybody to sit still. Like if you are accustomed to, huh? This is my mama talking to me. Mama, can you go? You
hey, Miss
on,
Jackson. I saw her on Instagram.
Mama, you're fine. I can't see you. You're fine. Nobody can see you.
I love it.
Um, hey, Sine. Sit still. So this is, and everyone is forced to sit still. So I think the thing that's also interesting about this time is that if you have been filling up your life with distractions, be it after work distraction,
Relationships. I think. Mm-hmm.
relationships, then this is a
Worry.
you, yep, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have those distractions anymore. So now this is a good time to really just kind of confront
Yeah.
whatever it is that you need to do. And again, this may not be the exact time because
Right.
emotionally you might be trying to manage a household or a sick person in your family or managing, a job. I got friends and who are working full time from home and have
Mm-hmm.
toddlers at home and
Girl, get
trying to work a full job from home and have manage toddlers at home is not an easy task.
right.
And so you might need that space
And when,
once we get back to work and stuff to confront those things. But you
and when you
know
said it's like to sit still,
hmm
and for me, like I took the
let me
first
close
couple
this
weeks,
light. Hold on.
I was
I'm just gonna close these blinds
still.
because the light is coming in.
It look good, girl. I forget because she's on East Coast time, Nick Jack. So that light is beautiful coming in through your window.
Thanks,
So
girl.
you're right.
Okay.
Kind of sit still, but the next thing is that when you actually receive the instruction,
hmm
you get to decide: am I going to move, or am I
Right.
going to stay here longer? And
Right.
so, me after about 3:30 a.m. wake up calls, I'm like, I
Oh.
get just like my spirit is just moving, or my
hmm
mind, whatever's going on. I'm like, okay, evidently I'm supposed to be doing something.
Right.
What
Right.
is? And I literally started writing about the things I felt were necessary for people to think about, engage in, or know about during this time. And then
hmm
with those topics, I started putting names next to them. And
Mm.
so I was like, and yours is one of the names, Tanita's one of the names, Larry
Ah.
was one of the names that we started with, Erica and I. I mean,
hmm
and so we always have great dialogue. And it's like,
hmm
why don't we
We
just
do.
share dialogue
Well,
with
I love
people?
this. I
Thank
definitely
you.
appreciate you for pushing me out of my comfort zone. Because when I got your text, I was like, she didn't mean me. She didn't. She wasn't. That text was from somebody else.
I know, wait, I know what
She didn't want me to talk about finance.
I
So
did. She said,
I'm gonna just wait until
oh,
she send me the my bad. That was for somebody else text.
it was for you. Because
Okay.
like people don't necessarily know, and I'm gonna affirm this in a positive light. I
Mhm.
am more I can be, I don't know, how do I say it? I'm shy. Like my
Mhm.
nature, like we'll walk into a club, not even a club, a place, and Nick Jack be like, come on, Mo, let's go. And I'm like, okay. All the time. We have so many experiences because you'd be like, come on, let's go. Girl, we're about to get in here.
Right.
You don't have a ticket.
We definitely got some. We about to get in here without no ticket stories. That is for sure.
It's like, uh, okay.
Mhm.
I'm like, McKim, we need to probably follow the rules. You like, girl, let's go.
Girl,
Like,
let's
is this
go.
what you want to do? Yes, this is what I want to do. Okay, then let's go. And
We
I
have.
love that about you. Like that
Mhm.
is like you need a friend that pushes you on both ends, out your comfort zone, each of us.
Right.
What it is,
Right.
and so this is what I want to talk about you and Maya.
Uh-huh.
It's because I remember it was 2007
Mhm.
or 2006. It was
Mhm.
2006, and you guys kept talking about this business, at least business.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and but what you did was shift my mind out of the drama we were engaged with an
Oh,
organization
child, yes.
to, girl, what's next for you? Like, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot keep your life focused on the negative drama. So even like now with this pandemic, it's like, okay, so what's next?
Right,
Like,
right,
like I'm not telling
right.
you to run towards what you don't know right now, but I'm telling
Mm-hmm.
you, get your mind and start thinking about what is it that I want my life to look like.
So you make a great point, and I have been having this kind of running dialogue with just friends and other circles about what this is all going to look like when we get back to quote unquote normal.
Right.
And so the reality is, I think by next Friday, the unemployment rate is going to be some number we have never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And there are going to be a lot of businesses that do not make it out on the other side of this just by
Mm-hmm.
virtue of the nature of their business. And
Right.
so, one of the things that I've been thinking about for me is
Mm-hmm.
what are some things that I can learn, or what are some things that I can do, some habits that I can create during this time so that I am, essentially recession proof, meaning the work that I do is valuable enough that it'll withstand, dips in the economy, it'll withstand, you know, um, market crashes, it'll withstand, businesses closing and things like that, because I, that's also a concern of mine, but also something that I'm trying to shift. Like I tend to not value what I have and and think I need to keep doing other things and learning other things and getting other certificates. But during this time, I mean, this is also a good time to like learn something new, like pick up a skill, pick up a trade. Like, I don't know if people know, but Udemy has a ton of online classes that are on sale right now. It's Udemy is udemy.com. And they have classes, everything from how to evaluate stocks to
Mm-hmm.
how to build a website to how to write for business articles, how to, learn photography. Like it's just this entire catalog of just things that you can learn and experience and expose yourself to. Coursera is another website. They're Sera, I think it's Coursera.
Okay.
Um, Same thing. They have an entire suite of classes that you can go on and, learn new things, pick up a new skill. And a lot of them are on sale now because they know people are at home. And um, so yeah, there's like a lot of opportunity if you can, again, don't make this about winning the productivity award,
Right.
because some people really, it is a struggle mentally just to kind of make it through the day and not really
Yeah.
know,
We're
whether or not you're going to be healthy, whether or not you're going to have a job at the end of this, so, but if you're one of those people that distracts yourself by doing, then there's a ton of things out there that you can do to kind of better
yeah.
yourself. Um, so yeah, I've signed up for a bunch of classes on stuff
Okay.
just to kind of sharpen my knife and to kind of give myself an advantage, maybe if, in the event that I do need to look for another job or find another job, I have another skill that I can use. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It's important
Mm-hmm.
to stay. I've loved learning, and I know
Mm-hmm.
you have tons of books, and I have tons of books. Learning is something that never gets old,
Right.
and um, while you're trying to figure the next thing out, or even just being like when you just be, because I feel like when you just be, when you center
Mm-hmm.
your alignment, and what I mean by that is your mind is still, your body
Mm-hmm.
is still, your emotions are still,
Mm-hmm.
then you can actually clearly receive instructions about what you already know. Like I'm a believer that your body knows how to heal itself.
Yeah,
You
I
ever
believe that too.
that emotion like
Absolutely.
go run? I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I need to not eat some sweets this week. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
you, and it's normally like, oh, I feel this way, but it's actually
Mm-hmm.
communication.
Mm-hmm.
Like, girl, I'm trying to get you to go where you're supposed to go.
Right.
God, I'm
Right.
putting this in front of you because this is what you say you want.
Right. Exactly.
And it's like just respond. So one of the things
Mm-hmm.
I also so like I'm telling you about those 3:30 a.m. wake up calls, and I'm like,
Yes.
look. And then one day I got smart. Was like, you know what? I don't want to wake up at 3:30 no more. No problem. I didn't go to bed till 4 o'clock.
Right.
Okay.
So now can't nobody wake me up because I'm already up.
Right. I was
Right.
like, gotcha. I was like, so what is it that needs to happen? I was like, okay, there's some conversations that need to take place. And let's just start having them. Do I have all the technology? Is it all pretty and this and this? I said, no, but I know the people. And I
Right.
believe
Exactly.
that when you serve people,
Hmm.
everything that you need will show up. People will get what they're supposed to get when they're in your presence.
Right.
And that's what this is about. It's like,
Hmm.
I see when people say that, someone, matter of fact, someone told me because of the conversation last Monday with Larry,
Hmm.
they sent, they put out a post like, hey, who needs groceries? And started
Oh.
stocking households. It's like,
Oh,
think,
nice.
think about doing at the time.
You inspire people.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I was
Hmm.
about inspiration. So
Oh, Maya got it down here. She wrote Coursera, Coursera.
perfect.
That
And
was
that's
yeah.
the Udemy up there as well. So
Hmm.
those are some
Hmm.
tools, some resources.
Hmm.
Um, what else? I mean, I guess I'll tell the people a little bit about our friendship.
Yeah.
Woo,
Yes.
Auntie Nakia is my Auntie Makia, Jeremiah,
Auntie Makia.
baby, and Dennis
Hmm.
dog. Uh,
Yes.
how long we've been friends? Jeremiah's 18, and
Girl.
I've known Nakia really since 2000, since spring 2000 when she became a Zeta.
Yeah. Yep.
Was Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Z Phi
Hmm.
Sorors,
See, I.
and but out of that connection and sorority became friendships. We
Hmm.
started going places together, hanging places together, and just keeping each other accountable. When
Hmm.
the language started shifting and it was just native, like, hey Mo, we're not talking about this no more. And I'm
Right.
like, you right. Like our t-shirt business, we should have started 20 years ago.
Girl,
That is on the way.
years ago.
Just
We gonna make that sure happen because it's
oh
still relevant.
girl, and I started writing down different things. Yeah, because it is still
Yeah,
relevant.
it's still relevant. Hmm.
And just pushing each other to start thinking outside the box to be a boss woman. Like
Hmm.
if you consider yourself a boss woman, what does that look like? It's how she walks, it's how she talks, it's how she shows up, number one, for herself.
Right.
I think that's what I love about you, Nakia. You show up for Nakia first. Remember that?
That
Tell you,
I already know what you about to say.
know what I'm saying? He was like, look, I'm gonna put this black dress on and I'm gonna go sit at the bar. Like, if I think I know how to do, I know how to get the attention that I want.
I can do
I
that.
don't
I can figure that out. And Mosi has been with me plenty of times. We've been somewhere, and I just had not been feeling it in my spirit, and be
Mhm.
like, "Okay, girl, bye. We leaving." And
Yes,
she'd be like, "But we just got here." I'm like, "Mm-mm,
we can't be
mm-mm.
here.
We can't be here. I don't want to do this. Let's go somewhere else."
That's her favorite line is I don't want to do this.
Mm-mm. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. We gotta go and do something else. So yeah,
And it's like, and one of the things is that sometimes I think we in this time, like, people are like, okay, check on your friends, things like that. Check on
yes.
what yes, your check on you first.
Check on you
What is you
first.
trying to tell you?
Mm-hmm.
Have you did everything that you supposed to do for
Right.
you?
So you brought up a good point about showing up for yourself. So that's kind of also one of those things that I learned during that time when I was off from work is that I had not been showing up for myself.
Mm-hmm.
That was really the first time when I decided I was going to leave my job and not go back to work. That was actually probably the first time I can recall really showing up for myself and doing what I needed to do for me and like, keeping a promise to myself. And so I think people talk about like how to develop good habits and how to build your self-esteem and like what are the steps, and I really feel like it starts with you keeping your promises to yourself. So if you tell yourself you are going to go for a walk or you're going to work out 30 minutes a day, or you're going to not eat the muffins or not answering the phone when that fool calls, then but you do it anyway, then you've just lied to yourself. You have just not, and you're not showing up for yourself. There's a reason why you've made those commitments,
Right.
and then not keeping those commitments to yourself is really where it starts, and then you start not showing up in other ways, and like you can't really truly show up for your friends if you're not showing up for yourself first, because you have to build that muscle. You have to be in practice of knowing what that looks like.
Right.
And
Right.
so I think, you know, one of those other things that it looked like to show up for myself, and also like having to recall instances where I actually had done that and just not realize what I
Right.
was doing. Like times when we would go somewhere and I'm like, "Ooh, girl, we're not doing this. Like, let's go. Like,
Right.
I don't know these people. I don't know who these cues are. We gotta go.
Lord help us.
We gotta go. We gotta leave
Woo!
up out of here." And
Yes.
so just kind of get into the habit of doing that. And so that has kind of helped me now that I've gone back to work. And like I said, I'm kind of at a job where a lot of the stuff is similar to the previous job, and just kind of reckon and like, what do you need for you to get through this job, to get the lesson? And it's like, I do not work past 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
My boss sent me some ridiculous text at 6:30 in the morning. And I was like, I'm not responding to that.
Right.
And
Right.
I don't check emails on the weekends. Like, but in my previous job, you know, I was all over that because I had a work phone and folks was calling me. People really high up in the organization were calling me, asking me to do stuff on Saturdays. And, you know, I had a team and I'm trying to sign stuff on the weekends and, you know, make sure people know, set people up for Monday. And it's like,
You're protected
that's
time.
exactly. And that's the kind of stuff that burned me out. And like this time around, this is exactly why I don't do it. And, you know, I get side eyed all the time. And
Right.
I always say, you can fire me. I don't care.
It's like
Because
not me
I
first.
have right, exactly. And now I kind of also have a confidence in knowing that I was able to survive for a year without a job. I can do
Yeah.
it again. Like, you know, you threatening me or you kind of trying to instill that fear of I should, you know, overwork myself for the
Right.
sake of the organization doesn't scare me, because I have done and been without a job and
Right.
I'm just fine, and I will go and be without another job again and be just fine.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I don't, you know, walk with that fear anymore of being without, because I always feel like, again, the universe is always conspiring in my favor. And so
Right.
I always feel like I have, and I
Mhm.
don't, you know, just
That's
don't, you
good.
can't scare me into keeping a
The
job no
universe is
more.
all firing in your favor, like you said, and you and not having fear of being without. So, if anything, I
Right.
want to we highlight a few points. I wrote them down, but
Hmm.
that fear, like, do not get into fear. And if you find yourself in
Yeah,
fear,
you can't do that.
start having these conversations. Change the dialogue. Change
Hmm.
change what you're listening to. Change
Yep.
what you're watching. And
Hmm.
change what you're saying, and
Right.
watch things. Your thought process, your mind just open up when you
Right.
shift the things. Like this
Right.
is you don't have to Netflix and chill if
Right.
that's not what you do. You know,
Right.
if you want to sit in your room and just listen to some music, if you want to sit in your
Right.
room, anything, and connect with your kids, connect with your spouse, your
Right.
family, do it. Do not be afraid.
And I
Um,
always like to say fear is not facts. Like fear is generally, typically, what fear is a story you created in your head about the outcome.
mm,
And you just don't know what the outcome is going to be. And, you know, fear, that feeling, that anxiety, that apprehension is just
yeah,
information. All it does is help you to inform your next step. That doesn't mean stop. That doesn't mean don't do it. That just means inform. It just informs the next step. And so that's how you kind of have to process it. Um,
right.
you know, it's easy to kind of get into that loop of fear and then just not progress and not do anything, not take any action. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's a lot, you know, it's healthy to have that anxiety, but it's just information. It is not meant, you know, you take it, you process it, you know, you analyze it, you know, you hedge maybe here or there, but you still make a decision and take an
I
action.
remember learning that fear and excitement feels the same.
Mm-hmm.
People, I say it all the time, I get excited or I'm excited. It's because if it's never, it's telling my mind and telling my body, like, whatever you're feeling right now is going to be exciting for whatever's coming. Like,
Right.
like literally
Mm-hmm.
just to shift how I'm viewing it, because you can put yourself in a situation and be sitting there 30 days later looking like, oh, that
Right.
wasn't what I meant.
Right.
That's not what I
Right.
wanted. You said keep the promise to yourself. Like, keep promises
Mm-hmm.
to yourself. So and some of us have to learn that. We make these grandiose plans. I had to learn that about me, Nick Jack. I
It's
make these
hard.
grandiose plans. And girl, I had like a 14-day window of commitment. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, stop making grandiose plans. You can have the
Right.
full picture of what you want, but let's break that down because most you good for about
Mm-hmm.
14 days and then you
Right.
start
Right. Right.
girl, I was telling myself I was trying to run a mile in 10 minutes, right? Girl,
Girl.
when I realized what it takes to run a mile in 10 minutes, I said maybe I need to change my
Yes.
goal. I could run a mile,
No.
but girl, it may be in 10 minutes. You know.
But
So
that's why they
let's
have
get
all of them programs where they tell you to run for 30 seconds first and then and then walk for 30 seconds and run for 30
yeah.
seconds and walk like to get through that mile because you have to set yourself up for success, right? And so, we'll make these big old grandiose plans and won't nothing get done. Maya knows all of my grand plans because I talked to her about them on the phone.
She said one of her
And
is adrenaline is energy. Gotta channel it correctly.
yes, yes, exactly, exactly. So she knows we talk about all of my grand plans, and she'll
Mm-hmm.
always say that you break them down in chunks. And that's really to set yourself up for a success. Like you want to feel accomplished. Once you start building that muscle of, feeling accomplished and getting stuff done, then it starts to, it's a machine. It starts to perpetuate, and then you can actually feel like you can take on more. But girl, yeah, running a mile in 10 minutes is ambitious, sis.
Girl, I said, this good walking. It feels real good, and the body is shaped up nicely with these squats. So
Right.
we're gonna get
Exactly.
back to maybe 15 minutes in a mile. We're not quite at a 10-minute mile, but I'm
Yeah,
enjoying my
but you'll get
walk.
there. Yeah, you'll get there for sure.
Oh, I love that mindset. Don't overwhelm yourself by yourself. That
Yes,
that's the story that you're telling yourself.
that's the
Tell yourself
story.
a
Where are
story
my
about
hearts? Can I
it.
put my little hearts? I can't
I
like
don't think
that
so.
message. I don't think so.
But that's key. We're gonna have to
Right.
post and then you said you started in the beginning by saying do whatever it is that's gonna bring you peace and joy during this time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you will freak out later because you don't have a certain threshold, then make wise decisions now. That's
Yes.
part of your
That's
joy.
part of your joy. And that's also about showing up for yourself, right?
Yeah,
So if you know that, you don't have a certain level of savings,
yeah,
and you're more comfortable at a certain level of savings, like put that money away. When it comes, just put that so you can sleep at night. Like don't,
yeah,
make yourself crazy. Um, because eventually this will pass.
mhm,
We will get back to a new normal. It's definitely not going to be the same. I already know I'm not interested in brunching or happy hour. I'm not. Nah, I take a break first
yeah.
before let everybody else go out there and do that. So we're not going to be in the same type of society now that we are once we get on the other side of this. So you have to be kind to yourself. You have to do or work with that money what works for you to keep you sane, to keep you going, to keep you happy, to keep your family. I mean, if that means that you have a bunch of toddlers in the house during the day and you think that money would be best served with some buying them some sort of educational tool or some toy or something like that to help them through the day and to give you some peace, then do that. You know what I mean? Like just if you have a one